Warning: this podcast is hosted by two brain-dead idiots with zero filter. Therefore, it contains language and opinions not suitable for all listeners. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome back to Virtual Tavern, a podcast where we talk about all things sci-fi and fantasy. We are starting our very first episode of The Return of the King, the Lord of the Rings Extended Edition.
Yes.
We're very excited.
Yes, I am very excited to get into this one because we get to see a lot of really cool shit happen. We get to see, Aragorn, finally embrace his heritage, so...
I think this is the one with the most extended scenes out of the three films.
Oh, that's cool. So we'll get to have quite a bit of juicy extra content.
Yeah, I mean, the other two, they have a decent amount, but I remember distinctly The Return of the King has, the most extended scenes.
Yeah.
So we'll have a lot to talk about.
Fuck yeah.
But welcome back. Thank you guys for tuning in. Before we get into our content coverage, we like to do something called our house cleaning shit. So it's just where we do our plugs, our talking about recaps, and our emails and everything. So it takes about 5-10 minutes. It'll be short this time because we don't have a talking point recap.
Yeah.
So anyway, with Virtual Tavern, a podcast where we talk about all things sci-fi and fantasy, you can subscribe to us on YouTube. We have a YouTube where we have shorts and everything. It's another way to enjoy the podcast in little meme-sized forms that I create. You can also follow us on Spotify if you prefer. I prefer, honestly, listening to podcasts on Spotify.
Yeah.
Because then you can just have it in autoplayer and everything, and I don't get any ads because I have Spotify Premium. So either or, subscribe to us on Spotify or YouTube. We're on a bunch of other shit too, like GarageBand, CastBox, I send out our RSS feed to a lot of different sites. So we're on a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Either way, whatever you like to view us on, you can still support us. You can leave comments on Spotify now. I mentioned that in the Sci-Fi Sunday podcast.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I'm glad they started doing that. Make it a little easier for engagement for people that prefer Spotify over YouTube. So
yeah,
you'd think that, we kind of touched on this already, but you'd think they would have had that once they brought video into it. Or hell, even just podcasts, because who doesn't want to fucking have discussions on things that they're talking about? But
that's mainly why I started the YouTube, is if we build up a community, I want to be able to engage with them.
Yeah.
There's no way for you to leave a review or anything. Well, you can leave a review on Spotify, but leave a message,
Yeah.
So now you can actually directly engage with us on Spotify if that's a platform you prefer. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Also, you guys should give us 5-star reviews. Everybody, 5 stars.
Yeah, a 5-star review. We're a small podcast. Help a small podcast out. Give us a 5-star, even if you think we're trash. Just give us a 5-star.
Yeah, just throw it our way. It's just gonna be 1, just fucking trolls.
Yeah, so if you could give us a 5-star review on Spotify, that would actually really help the algorithm. I don't know what it does, but I know Spotify really likes that.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Anyway, so.
Real quick, we've got our TikTok too.
Yes.
It's another spot where you guys can get our podcast in little bite-sized comedic skits or shorts, which is going to be virtual_tavern_podcast. Again, it's the same kind of thing as the YouTube shorts. They get uploaded there. If I can ever get caught up on doing my own editing, I'll start making shit for the podcast. But I'm buried in my own chair right now, so. Hopefully I'll be able to start getting some content out for you guys here shortly.
Yeah, if you guys prefer TikTok and you're not on, which would be a surprise. If you're on TikTok, you like YouTube. You're a fucking Gen Z brain rot, little kid. We all are like that, right? We're all technology hungry and addicted. We're all on social media, as much as we hate to deny it. We all have TikTok. We all have brain rot.
You got the charger on you. I need my screen.
I tried to get away from it for as long as I could, and you guys sucked me into TikTok, and I still don't use it, but I have it. It's fuck. But anyway, so that's our socials and everything. That would really help us out. 5-star review on Spotify. Just go subscribe wherever you prefer. You'll get our content, and you'll be supporting the podcast.
Yeah.
Speaking of our platforms, we have gotten new subscribers on YouTube.
Cool.
We have been having people comment on our YouTube videos lately, which is pretty cool. It's slowly but surely like building up a small community. Like every video we post, we get someone commenting, which is cool. What else? We have new followers on Spotify. So
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so we have new followers on Spotify. So, and our viewership is holding very strong on both platforms. Obviously, we get more views on YouTube than Spotify, but still, like, I consider both avenues a success.
Good. That's fucking awesome. I'm glad that, you know, we're still seeing growth, or at least even if it's just like we're maintaining what we're at. Like that's pretty fucking cool, because, you know, again, we're a small little podcast, so like it's pretty cool to see like just how far we've come from, you know, little over a year ago to where we're at now. We're very appreciative of those of you who have been here from the beginning, or even just, you know, have recently joined us and have chosen to stick around and hang out with us. We're greatly appreciative.
Yeah, we thank the diehards that have struggled with us in the beginning months of this podcast, where the quality was very rough around the edges.
Rough. It changed all the fucking time.
Yeah, but
I would get fucking belligerent.
Yeah. But thank you guys for staying with the podcast, and thank you all the newcomers that have joined us. We talk about things that we are passionate about. You know, we're just two guys talking about our favorite pieces of media and art, you know, sci-fi and fantasy, and we're just having a great time. We do this in our spare time. It's not a job, but the fact that you guys are listening is just icing on the cake, right?
Yeah, I mean, really for us, this is just, it's something fun to do. It's another way for us to be able to like hang out and you know, just have that time together. And the fact that you guys enjoy us just bullshitting is fucking awesome.
Yes.
So thank you guys. Thank all of you guys for listening.
So we normally, right now, we would do something called our talking point recap, but we do not have one because this is the first episode of our Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King coverage. I guess we could do a very small one and just say, what did we think of the Two Towers? You know,
I mean, the Two Towers were great. We got to see a lot of like big battles. We got to have like, you know, that feeling of like overwhelming dread and fear from like Theoden and just his men in general, especially when like they could see all the fucking Uruk-hai and shit heading towards them, like, oh no. Like it immediately kind of like it makes me think of Ratchet, when he's like they're at the fucking
the Starship base. Troopers.
Yeah, he like fucking wipes his nose, like, son of a bitch.
Yeah. I just do want to add this out there. I do like, so the movies Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, Fellowship of the Ring, and Two Towers, they're pretty uniform in art style and direction and everything, right? It's not like there's vast differences in between, like in pacing and tone and art style. They do vary a little bit. Like the first one, Fellowship of the Ring, is very like Dungeons and Dragons-y. You know?
And in my opinion too, like it's a lot slower because they're having to do a lot of world building, obviously, because you know it's the first one in the series.
And the second one, The Two Towers, I feel like has a distinct art direction where it's a dark fantasy.
Yeah.
And The Return of the King, I feel like, is the most joyful of the the films. You know, it's the most not hopeful, but it's the most like colorful, the most energetic. It's where the most battles happen.
Did you almost say the three MILFs?
The three
MILFs? I heard that MILFs coming out.
I didn't mean to say MILFs, but it's something you notice a little bit. Like The Two Towers has its own. It's slightly desaturated in color, just slightly like turned down one notch or two.
Yeah,
to make it seem more like a dark fantasy. There's a lot more like death, you know, like hopelessness in that film.
Yeah,
and The Return of the King, it's just like death, hard charge, let's go, fucking woo, muscle man, woo, woo,
woo. You know, kind of comparing it to Marvel. The Two Towers would kind of be like Infinity War, and Return of the King would be Endgame. Like,
yeah,
because Infinity War, like, you know, they're struggling the entire time, and then it gets obviously super dark when fucking we have to watch poor little Petey fucking turn into ash.
I want to go.
House cleaning shit. Did we get any emails or new listeners?
Yes. So that's the last thing I wanted to cap it off with. So we have an email. This is the last thing we do for our house cleaning shit. Our email is contactvirtualtavern@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, whether you have something to say about Cyberpunk, Sci-Fi Sunday, our Fantasy Friday podcast, Lord of the Rings, or if you just want to ask us a question or just say hello. We would love to hear from you, and we will read it on the podcast. Now, speaking of emails, that's one more time. That's contactvirtualtavern@gmail.com. We do have an email, and it's from Kaellen.
Oh.
So you remember, so the subject line is smoke pipe weed every day. And the tag is, I started this a long time ago. Apologies, it's been a little late, but I hope y'all still appreciate it. It was made with nothing but love. And do you remember a little while ago when we asked the audience to do fan art of Gandalf smoking weed with the fucking eagle on like a mountain?
Yeah.
Kaellen actually did it. So I'm showing it to Hunter, but I'm going to put it in post edit. I'm going to show a video, a photo for you guys, the listeners, right now. So here it is.
That's fucking good. Like, Gandalf looks good. Honestly, the eye on the bird looks fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well done, Kaellen. This looks fucking awesome.
Thank you. This is pretty great. Like, whenever we get fan art, I like to print it off and put it in our studio. I'm probably going to do that with this one too. So you just gave me more fan art to print off and like add more color, and I'll probably put it behind Hunter over there in that corner.
Hell yeah.
But thank you for this. Yeah, this is great. So whenever you guys, like, that's another thing. We love getting fan art from our viewers and listeners. So if you ever want to send us fan art and it's tasteful and I can show it.
I was going to say, like, it's wholesome, you could say.
Yeah.
We don't want any of that fucking sexualized shit.
Yeah. But let me take a
You can send that to my personal one, though.
Oh, my God. So anyway,
don't do that. Don't find me.
That is our house cleaning shit. We like to keep that around 10 minutes if we can. We don't like to stretch that too long like Hunter's asshole.
It's not long, it's wide. There's a difference.
Yeah. So anyway, let's go ahead and get
cavernous.
Let's dig. Fuck you.
I knew that'd throw you off.
Let's go ahead and dig deep into our content coverage. So the Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King Extended Edition. The film opens up with Smeagol in his like proto-hobbit form.
Yeah.
Like when he was still kind of like a human being. And Deagle. And Deagle, I believe, he's not like family related, right? He's just his best friend.
I think so, yeah.
So they're fishing on a river and everything. And Deagle, they're using like these fucking fishing rods with a leaf as like a little bobber.
Yeah.
And they're fishing and Deagle catches a fish like, oh, Smeagol, I got one. And he falls into the river because the fucking fish is like pulling him.
Yep.
And this is, of course, now we know how the One Ring was reclaimed from the river.
Yeah.
Isildur lost it when he was killed by the orcs.
Yeah, it's been laying in the same spot for ages now.
Yeah, I can't remember how long it was. I think it was like 1,000 years.
Yeah, it was a long fucking time. I can't remember either. I actually just recently watched a video on it where he kind of touched up on not only the One Ring, but like the difference between the greater and lesser rings as well.
Oh, were you watching like a breakdown of like the different rings of power?
Yeah, the guy's channel, if you guys want to follow him, he's called the Nerd of the Rings, I believe is what his channel name is, and he actually goes pretty in depth. Like he goes into like not just the movies but the books as well. So
that's
you
pretty
get a
cool.
lot of, you get a lot of cool lore out of it.
Huh. So Deagle pulls the ring out of the river and he's just completely enamored by it, right? Yeah. I'm sure that ring has been sitting there just waiting for somebody to pick it up, and now it's like it's wasting no time seething into the minds of everybody nearby.
Yeah, you know, it's I'm sure it's like that one single mom that's just been hanging out at the bar and finally like young guy comes walking by.
They're like,
yes. Oh, what's that? Fresh meat? Oh, I'm gonna cook you dinner every night. I think I'm talking about my ex.
Oh, Jesus. But Smeagol comes up, and all Smeagol does is gets a very quick look at it while Deagle's caressing it, and he's like, give us that, Deagle, my love. And Deagle's like, why? Because it's my birthday and I want it. He's already using his Smeagol voice, which is like weird, like how fast that's corrupting him.
Yeah. And you know, maybe they were lovers just because of his use of my love. Like maybe it wasn't just like a friend thing. Like I've never called a friend my love. Like,
well, I mean, back in the day, like the 40s or, you know, whenever the Lord of the Rings. No, the Lord of the Rings was written in fucking the 20s, right? No, that was The Hobbit.
I can't remember when the books were actually written.
I know The Hobbit was published in the 20s. fuck, it's gonna bother me. But long ago, like maybe relationships were different back then between, you know, men, like they called him my love, you know, or like in like poetry, you know, Tolkien was a poet, you know.
That's true.
So, but Smeagol gets instantly corrupted. Deagle's fucking like, no, I'm not gonna give you the ring. I already gave you a present. And Smeagol's not taking no for an answer. They start swatting at each other, and then instantly gets into a WWE like fucking lock, and they start choking each other, beating the shit out of each other. And Smeagol finally gets his arms around Deagle's throat.
Yep.
And in the background is also like the sound effect of the ring. You can kind of hear it. So that's subtext that the ring is influencing this fight, and it wants them to kill each other.
Yeah, because it wants one person to be in control of it. Like, yeah, that way it'll be easier to find. You know, otherwise they're gonna have to. They'll keep fucking fighting back and forth, and it's gonna be harder for Sauron to find it.
Yeah, so Smeagol wins and puts on the ring, turns invisible, and then we have a short little montage where Smeagol's narrating his life, and he says, "Oh, they cast us out, murderer they called us. They drove us away." So whatever village he was a part of, they obviously knew that he killed Deagle.
Yeah.
And so they cast him out. He started living in the mountains. The ring starts corrupting him physically.
So, yeah, like it at least how the movie portrays it, it looks like it happens relatively quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Like as soon as he gets up into the mountain, he already starts losing his hair. His teeth start falling out. He's eating fish raw.
It's the typical video game developer when it's crunch time.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just worked to death, you know. That's actually not funny. That's a real fucking problem in today's gaming industry. That's another reason why I didn't want to become a video game developer, because I heard about the horror stories of like Blizzard and Rockstar working their employees to death.
Yep.
Fucking their vacations denied if their fucking son dies, or like, well, you better be at the office tomorrow.
Oh man, your kid died? Ah, that sucks. Well, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. So Smeagol's getting corrupted. He's starting to eat fish raw, and he's like, we forgot the taste of bread, the sound of trees, the warmth of the sun. We even forgot our own name. And then he closes his hand, and they do this weird CGI effect where his eyes start small and then they get bigger like an anime girl.
Yeah.
Fucking
like it's really weird how they did it, because like it almost looks like he has like additional eyelids. Like, you know how in some movies they have it to where aliens, they'll blink one way and then they'll blink like horizontally. Like it looks like his horizontal eyelids are closed, like they're just kind of glossed over.
Yeah. Weird theory time. Maybe because Smeagol lived for so long, like he couldn't die. Maybe his body was like naturally evolving to live in caves.
That makes sense actually, because you know, if your eyes are bigger, you're going to be able to get in more fucking light particles and things to actually be able to see what's going on.
Yeah, that's just my theory, is that maybe that's why his eyes actually did enlarge, and that's like a factual like reason why his eyes became bigger. It's like, if he can't die because the ring is keeping him alive, you know, he might as well like adapt, you know, to live in that environment for 500 years.
Yeah. So like, you know, the longer he's in there, the more his body's going to start to evolve and change, which is probably why he also got like, we know the fact that he was barely eating. Probably the reason why he got skinny, so that way he could fucking maneuver around a little bit more nimbly, kind of like I don't know, like a cougar or a billy goat.
Yeah. So we go to Frodo and Sam, and at this point they're on the other side of the river, right past the city of Osgiliath. They're inching closer and closer to Mordor. And the closer to Mordor you get, the less like wildlife and like trees and forests that you'll see. The land is just getting progressively more and more dead.
Yeah.
And Frodo and Sam, they like take hunker in like this old little ruin cave type deal.
Yep.
And Frodo, of course, he's caressing the ring. He's like, how am I going to try to sabotage the party today?
Yeah. Oh, what's that? Timmy fell down the well. Well, that fucking sucks.
The amount of time Sam has to fucking bail him out. Yeah. So Gollum is like, we must move. We got to move. You know, there's like a little earthquake going on because Mount Doom is erupting again.
Yeah.
And Sam is like, no, we're not going anywhere until Master Frodo's had something to eat. And this is where you get the first hints like, oh, fuck, we're down to our last few rations of food.
Yeah.
Even the lambless bread, which was given by the Lady Galadriel, like is only going to sustain us for so long.
Yeah. And, if they eat like fucking Merry and Pippin do, they're gonna go through it fucking quick. So they're really having to like make sure they only eat what they absolutely need to, keep going on for the day.
And Sam, he's trying to like maintain positive vibes, right? He's got to stay cheerful. But Frodo's like, how much food do we have left? And like, no, you go on, you eat it. And then Sam finally breaks character. He's like, all right, I'm going to be honest with you. We don't have that much left. And we have to be rationed. We have to be careful if we're going to make it. And Frodo's like, make it for what? The journey home. Yeah. So this whole time, that's a little more subtext and hinting that Frodo didn't think that he was coming back from that.
Yeah, he thought that they were going to fucking die either on the way there or as soon as they completed the mission.
And Sam's still trying to hold on to that hope, right? That we will come back.
Yeah.
So there's two different forces. Like Frodo's like, dude, we're fucked. We're not coming back. And Sam's like, we have to stay positive. We have to think that we'll come back from that.
Yeah, exactly. Again, kind of going back to Marvel, it's a lot like Steve Rogers and Tony Stark. Like Tony Stark was very negative. Like there's no fucking point. Like why were we even going to try to fight him?
Yeah.
And Steve, like even though he was a part of the fight that they lost, like he was still trying to be that positive influence of, dude, we got to keep trying. We got to keep going.
Yeah, that giddy it's like Tony Stark is like, sometimes I love that giddy optimism about you.
Yeah.
How he's just like, in any situation, you can just be like, all right, let's find the positive about it.
All right, Silver Lining Boy, what do you got for us this time?
Yeah. So we go back to the Forest of Fangorn, right? And that's when it has the big ass title crawl, the Return of the King. And this is the aftermath of when the Ents attacked Isengard.
Yeah.
So the whole fucking little tiny city is flooded. All the Ents have won, and Saruman's trapped in his tower. We have King Theoden, we have Gimli, Legolas, Aragorn, and Éomer. I almost forgot his name. Éomer, like the second in command for Rohan.
Oh, yeah.
And Gandalf. So they're all riding towards Gandalf. Gandalf. Oh yeah, he's not here. I still missed that. But they're all riding towards Isengard, and there's a big ass like section of the wall that's been destroyed. And of course, who's sitting on the fucking section of the wall? It's Merry and Pippin. They're getting high, they're getting drunk, they're eating salted pork.
Yep.
And they're like, welcome, my lords, to Isengard. And Gimli's pissed off, like, you sons of bitches. You had us worried for like a whole ass film.
Yep.
We rode day in and day night. Because you remember when Gimli was wheezing like 2 days of night pursuit. No food, no rest. And he's probably pissed off, like, you made me run for like 5 days with like an hour of sleep in between. You motherfuckers, and you're sitting here getting high, drinking fucking mead, and what are you eating? Salted pork. And then he changes his attitude, like, maybe I'm not so mad anymore. You got any more of that salted pork?
Yeah. You got any more of that salted meat? I could use the meat.
So they go into the city, right? And Treebeard is now like the caretaker of Isengard.
Yeah. And
fills them in on the situation like, Saruman, he's up in his tower. We can't really do anything. The fucking tower is indestructible.
Yeah.
He's locked up there. Yeah, so this is like the last time that we get to see Christopher Lee's character, Saruman, in this film. In the base film, but in the extended editions, we actually get this awesome scene where we get some closure with this character.
Yeah, and this is where the famous meme comes from.
Oh, I forgot about that back in the day. Oh, good old Trollolo videos back in the day.
But dude, just good old fucking YouTube poops, honestly. Like, until you and David introduced me to them, I'd never watched them, but now they take over a good portion of my brain.
So we have Sir Christopher Lee's character on top of the tower, right? And Saruman comes out and he's like, can we not be friends and treat like old days past, my good friend Gandalf the Grey? And he's like being like, all right, maybe I'll consider talking now.
Yeah.
And can we not speak as we once did? And Theoden King, he's just not having any of it. He's like, when the children that are slain across the Hornburg are avenged, then we shall have peace. And Saruman is just like, Rohan. What is Rohan except a place where brigands drink in the pub and children roll around with the dogs? He's just basically insulting all of Rohan.
Yeah, like, he's claiming that he wants to talk, he wants to have peace, whatever. But he's bashing the guy. So like, why is he even going to want to try to like allow Gandalf to have like that talk or that sense of peace with him?
Yeah, and Saruman just keeps drilling into Theoden Kings like, you are a lesser son of a lesser time.
Yeah.
And that hits Theoden. Like, that's actually something that Theoden is very self-conscious about. That he looks down, he's like, oh, fuck, he's right.
Yeah.
Because we talked about this in the Two Towers. Theoden is very self-conscious about, like, his performance as a king.
Yep.
And being, like, living up to his forefathers, right?
Yeah.
Because you hear the legends of, like, the kings of old, like Helm Hammerhand, and, the old kings of Rohan that went to war and rode in battle and glory.
Yeah.
And he's constantly comparing himself to his old ancestors. But Gandalf is constantly trying to, like, appease Saruman. He's like, come down, Saruman, and your life will be spared. I do not desire your pity and your mercy. I have no use for it. Saruman fucking throws down a fireball, and Gandalf is just like, please.
Yeah.
He just waves it away. And Gandalf says, Saruman, your staff is broken. Oh, fucking Saruman's staff just explodes into a million pieces. But I forgot to mention this too. Saruman has the Palantir.
Yeah.
And he's talking about, I have seen more than you know. Very quickly, Sauron will have an army great enough to destroy all of Middle-earth. And Saruman, fucking his staff explodes. And this is when Grima Wormtongue actually walks into frame.
Yeah, and I'm sure that plenty of people have touched on it. It's kind of like the whole fucking thing with, Aragorn breaking his toe or whatever when he kicks the helmet, right? The way that Peter Jackson wanted him to enact getting stabbed in the back, Chris Reeve's like, that's not how that happens. Like that's not how it goes. Because you don't make a like an sound. It's like you lose breath, like So because he got stabbed in the back when he was fighting. I can't remember which war it was that he was in, or but like he had like real life experience, so he just told Peter Jackson like, no, I'm gonna do how I know it actually goes. And it makes the film that much better.
Yeah, and Christopher Lee and Peter Jackson, I think they did have creative differences on this whole scene.
Yeah.
And that's probably what led to it being cut in the final product. But I still think it added great character development for Saruman, for Wormtongue. Well, not really development for Saruman, more like a conclusion to his story, and a little bit of development for Wormtongue. So Wormtongue is getting talked to by King Theoden. And Theoden's like, Grima, you were not always the man you are now. You were once a man of Rohan. And this kind of ties into what we talked about in the Two Towers, right? When he was crying when he saw the whole army.
Yeah, because like he knew that army was going to go slaughter, hundreds of his people. Like he was sending his people to their death.
Yeah, my headcanon is Wormtongue got greedy, but he's at his heart still a man of Rohan.
Yeah.
Maybe he thought, okay, if I can cash in, get a good amount of money and gold and sell out my people, maybe a couple of them die. But when he saw that army, he saw the genocide, the extermination of his people, not just like conquering them and killing a few of them. Like they're going to be all dead.
Yeah.
And that's why he cried.
Wipe them out. All of them.
But when Saruman turns back, he's like, get down, you cur, slaps the shit out of him. Wormtongue gets all fucking pissed, pulls out a dagger and stabs him from behind. And that's how we have that shot of Saruman falling down, all that stories of the tower.
Yep.
And gets impaled on one of the working pieces of equipment. And then it fucking goes down.
It's good to note here too, right? As soon as Wormtongue stabs him, you see Legolas, notch an arrow into his bow, and he fires one right into Grima's chest. So they both die here.
Which didn't make any sense, right? Like, you wanted Saruman dead to begin with.
Yeah.
Why kill Wormtongue for helping you?
Yeah, I don't understand that. Maybe it was because maybe they thought that they could still try to save Saruman to try to like you know maybe turn him back, but honestly at that point like he's so far gone, there's no coming back from that.
Yeah. So as Saruman is like going underneath the water because the machinery is like he's impaled by the spike, the Palantir falls out of his robe.
Yeah.
And the Palantir, we talked much about the Palantirs at all?
I mean, we kind of touched on it in the first one, but not a whole lot.
They're like, as far as I remember, they're Numenorian seeing stones.
Yeah.
And there at one point there was a lot of them, but now they've fallen into unknown territories. Like it's like a two-way mirror, right?
Yeah.
Like you can use it and get a lot of knowledge, but there's also the possibility that someone else is watching you.
Yeah.
So that's why Gandalf in the first movie is like, they have not all been accounted for. We may not know who else is watching, throws the robe on it. But these are very powerful, like magical devices. They not only show you what the other Palantirs are seeing, but they show like premonitions of the future too.
Yeah. It's very interesting how they work. And we get to see, I can't remember if it's Merry or Pippin that fucks around with it later on in this film, but we get to see like a little bit of a taste of what Gandalf was meaning by, you know, that two-way mirror system, because while he's looking into it, I believe like the eye pops up and makes whichever one of them that touches it fucking shit their pants.
Yeah, so obviously we know now that Sauron has a Palantir, which makes it extremely dangerous to use, because now if you use it, Sauron's going to know exactly where you are, and you know it's as much of an advantage as it is a disadvantage. Yeah,
at this point, like, now not only does Frodo have a fucking homing beacon on him, especially because he's getting closer and closer to Mordor, Gandalf and the rest of the group have one because they have the Palantir. So, like, he just has two fucking GPS pings going off whenever they fucking use them.
Yeah, and if I remember right, this isn't really shown in the film too much, but the Palantir is the reason why Denethor, the steward of Gondor, went all crazy and fell into despair. Because he has a Palantir.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Denethor has a Palantir, and because he saw the future and because Sauron has one, Sauron saw an opportunity to feed him visions of despair.
Yeah.
So Sauron used the Palantir to show Denethor, thank you. To show Denethor like visions of death and destruction for Gondor, and it got into Denethor's mind. He's like, "There's no hope. There's no hope for men." He fell into a great wave of despair, and that's why he goes all crazy in the end of the Return of the King.
Yeah,
because what he's seeing is coming true.
Yep.
So that's how he goes crazy. Like, it gives more explanation as to why, like, Denethor just fell into this fucking mad, crazy, you know, cesspool of despair and self-destruction.
Yeah. Which makes a lot of sense. Like, I was kind of wondering why he was always just such a fucking mopey little bitch. Because, like, you know, he's just a fucking negative Nancy. He doesn't want to actually help anybody. And I thought, you know, maybe it could have just been that his people had taken so many hits for so long that, you know, it broke his spirit or whatever. But knowing now that he has a Palantir. Yeah, Palantir, thank you. And that he was probably being fed messages by Sauron, like, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, there is an extended scene in The Return of the King that we'll see late towards the end of the film, but Aragorn talks into a Palantir, and that's presumably the Palantir that Denethor had.
Gotcha.
So anyway, back to where we were at. I just wanted to add that in there a little bit, a little history of the Palantirs. So Pippin picks up the Palantir out of the water from Saruman, and he's having a Frodo moment. He's getting enamored by it. He's like looking into it with a deep gaze.
Yeah.
And Gandalf, he's like, motherfucker, no, you give me that. It's like when a dog has like something in their mouth. It's like, give me that, motherfucker. No. Thank you. But Gandalf's like, I'll take that, my lad. And he takes the Palantir from Pippin. And this is weird. As Gandalf looks back, he gives Pippin this dirtiest fucking stank eye. Like, he looks at him with fucking like such a stern look, like, I'm so disappointed in you.
I don't know. I don't really see it as him like trying to be mean or trying to be stern with him. I think it was more worry because he could already see like that desire and that lust for it in Pippin's eyes. Like it was very obvious. So I think it was more concern on his end than like, fucking piece of shit, why would you even touch this?
Yeah.
Like, of course, anyone that sees this fucking weird ball of light that just suddenly lights up in the water, like, I gotta look now.
Yeah. And Pippin is the most impulsive too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What the fuck is it that Gandalf says to him in the first movie? For the fucking skull.
Yeah, so
the skeleton
in the fucking Mines of Moria, Pippin twists an arrow and the head falls down this fucking well. It's like king kong, king kong, king kong. Fool of a Took. Throw yourself in next time and rid us of your stupidity.
Yeah, exactly.
But we go back to Edoras, which is the capital of Rohan. And this is after the Battle of Helm's Deep. And technically, like, well, in reality, Isengard has been defeated. Like, all the Uruk-hai at Helm's Deep ran into the woods and got slaughtered by the Ents. The Ents came into Isengard and just wrecked shit. Saruman is defeated and killed now. So, for all intents and purposes, Rohan has won the war, so they're celebrating.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And Theoden, he's like, tonight we remember those who gave their blood and defended this country. Hail the victorious dead. Hail! And I love this scene, man. This whole, like, it's like 5-10 minutes of just merrymaking and drinking and, like, cheerful, like, tavern, you know, singing along. It's a great segment.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to, the lighter moments of the first movie where very early on there's several, like, different merry moments, like, even after times of great stress, like when the hobbits were first going to that little village to go meet Gandalf, and obviously he's not there. Yeah, when they're going to Bree, once they get there, it's like, all right, fuck it, we're gonna have some fun. They all like dance on tables and shit.
Yeah, I do like the quieter moments like this in Lord of the Rings where they just get to live in a fantasy world. Go to a tavern, drink ale, and fucking sing songs of merrymaking.
Yeah. And you've actually pointed this out to me. This is like the only moment we get to see Gimli without a helmet on.
It's one of the only few moments, yeah.
Yeah. Like there's very few times where he actually doesn't fucking wear it. So yeah. It's kind of cool to see him in more of like a natural, relaxed state.
So have you seen this extended scene where Gimli and Legolas get into a drinking game?
It was a long time ago.
So this is the scene right here. And it's one of those where I'm like, why did they cut it out, man? Like, the two best Gimli and Legolas scenes in Return of the King and Two Towers are cut out. The arrow scene, or like the axe scene, is like, my axe is embedded in his nervous system. And this scene, they're both cut out. They're extended scenes.
Yeah, at the end of the scene, doesn't fucking Gimli like giggle and then fall backwards drunk?
Yeah, so Gimli and Legolas are getting into a drinking contest. And Legolas is like, so it's a drinking game. Last one standing wins. And so they start drinking their ales and everything. And Legolas starts drinking. And then we go back to Éowyn and Aragorn.
Yeah.
And Éowyn still has the hots for Aragorn, right? Like every time Aragorn walks by, she has to change her panties.
Yeah, I'm going to say fucking wring them out, slap them back on.
Let them air dry. But Éowyn gives Aragorn like
Éowyn, stop, you're attracting the bears.
Gives Aragorn like a glass of fucking ale or something. I don't know what's in the cup, but Aragorn just gives her a slight nod, like, yeah. And I wonder, like, if as soon as he walks away, he's like, oh, because she's a terrible cook, and I'm sure she's not a good bartender either.
Yeah, so like maybe, I don't know, does he actually fucking drink it before he walks away, or does he just like grab it, nod at her, and go?
He takes a swig.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember if he actually like took a shot of it or not.
Yeah, he takes a swig.
Oh, he does right there.
You don't know what's in it, but he doesn't make a facial reaction, and you can assume like, oh, he's just being polite again. Like the stew scene.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to fucking analyze his face right now to like see if he gives any sort of context to it. I don't know. Maybe it's fine, but like it looked like he was drinking from her cup too. She was just like, here, why don't you go ahead and try this?
Yeah. But here comes King Theoden, and Theoden, being very presumptuous, I am happy for you.
Yeah.
He's an honorable man. Like, oh, what the fuck? We're not dating or anything. Chill, Dad.
Daddy, chill.
Daddy Theoden's already trying to hook her up with fucking Aragorn.
Yep.
And Éowyn is like, you are both honorable men. And Theoden gets into like a little despair. It's like, it was not Theoden King who led our people to victory. nah, don't listen to me.
Yeah.
You are young. Tonight's about you. And then we go back to the drinking game. Fucking Gimli and Legolas, they're both like, oh, Jesus, I forgot just how many Gimli was
Gimli's
into.
just fucking putting them down.
Gimli, there's like at least 20 fucking empty glasses there. Legolas is like 10 in, so he's halfway in.
Yeah.
And Gimli's like, it's the dwarves that go swimming with little hairy women. Legolas says something pretty funny. I feel something. A slight tingling in my fingers. I think it's affecting me. And this is instantly where goes to Gimli. What did I say? He can't hold his liquor. Falls back.
Dude, I wish they would have kept this in the base film because it's so fucking good.
Yeah. And Legolas like, game over. I win. But you didn't really win because you drank only half the amount of beers that he did.
True, unless like he just had his like stacked out and Gimli had his stacked up. But even then, like it didn't look like there was nearly as many on Legolas' side as there were on Gimli's. So
yeah.
And then again, like who knows how many Gimli had before they started playing their game too.
Mm-hmm. So Merry and Pippin, just like they did at the Green Dragon Inn in the Fellowship of the Ring, they're dancing on the tables, you know, drinking. You can drink far and wide. I forget how the song goes. Welcome to the Green Dragon. Yeah, everyone's cheering. And this is when you have a little side tangent, sidebar with Gandalf and Aragorn.
Yeah.
Gandalf and Aragorn very much being like the two lead men of the group, you know, the two ones like holding it together.
Yeah.
They're talking plainly like, have you heard any word from Frodo and Sam? No word, nothing. And this show goes to show like even someone as hopeful as Gandalf needs a little pick-me-up speech every once in a while.
Yeah.
Because Gandalf, he knows the odds are stacked way in the enemy's favor. Like they're fighting an uphill battle. Like there really is only a small miracle's hope that they can win.
Yeah.
And Gandalf is just falling into a little bit of despair. And Aragorn is like, what does your heart tell you? That Frodo was alive? Yes, very much alive. You know, Aragorn very much is like that heartfelt hope that Gandalf needs right now. And Gandalf, you know, he's always been like the cheery kind of guy, but he needs that strength of Aragorn right now.
Yeah, and I'm sure with, you know, his development from Gandalf the Grey to Gandalf the White, like, you know, there was that additional knowledge that he was able to gain, and with knowledge you gain more worries and concerns with things because you can see other outcomes and possibilities. So, you know, while he did gain knowledge, it's also going to make it to where he has a little bit more, I guess, anxiety to.
Well, Gandalf the White is a little more cynical and pessimistic than Gandalf the Grey.
Yeah, because you know, he's not as naive, I guess would be a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So he needed that little bit of a pick me up to remind himself, you know, like, yeah, of course they're going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. It's fine here now. Fine. Thank you.
How are you? We go back to Gollum, Frodo, and Sam, and obviously the two hobbits are sleeping. They're somewhere near a mountain range, like hugging the wall of Mordor.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I can't remember. Did they already go to the Black? Yeah, the Black Gate was in the Two Towers.
Yeah. Right now, I believe it's actually the following day they go into the Dead Marshes.
Yes. So right now, Smeagol is talking to himself while the hobbits are sleeping. He's looking into a pool, and he's like still having a little bit of a conflict of emotions, right? Smeagol's on the plan. He's on board with the plan to kill the hobbits. But, you know, Smeagol's kind of like lacking the courage to do it. And that's when the Gollum persona reminds him, we've did it before. We can do it again. And there's flashbacks of him killing Deagle and choking him to death.
Yep.
And he's like, it's ours. We must get it back. Patience, my love. And that's when they're kind of like reiterating the plan. We are going to take the hobbits into the cave of Shelob.
Yeah.
And Shelob, for those of you that don't know, is like an ancient, like fucking god of Middle Earth that is like a shapeshifter. So from what I understand, Shelob isn't just a spider. She's like a shape-shifting being.
Huh.
Because in that Shadow of Mordor game, she appears as a woman.
Interesting. I'll have to look into that.
Which I never played the Shadow of War games very much, but if that's a part of like the canon, like I honestly didn't know that Shelob was like a shape-shifting being.
Yeah, like I've only ever known Shelob to be that giant ass fucking spider.
Yeah.
So that'll be kind of cool. I'll have to look into that when we're done recording, see if we can find something on it.
Yeah, I know literally nothing about that kind of lore, but I see clips of the game and it's like Shelob, like what? Wait, that's a woman. What the fuck?
Where's my giant spider?
Yeah. So Frodo and Sam are sleeping, but this wakes up Sam a little bit. Sam is always the one that's like never trusting Gollum.
Yeah.
And Gollum's like, when the hobbitses are dead, throws a rock into the puddle. And that's when Sam, fucking WWE style, comes in and hits him with a chair. Ding! Watch out, watch out.
RKO!
Watch out, watch out, watch out, RKO! And then you've got fucking the WWE announcer, stop the damn match!
Yep.
Stop the damn match! But Sam is beating the fuck out of Gollum again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's just fucking going to fucking town because, obviously he heard him start talking shit, like saying that he was going to fucking wipe them out. And good old Frodo, being the dipshit that he is, fucking constantly fucking everything up. Just, no, he wouldn't do that.
He wouldn't do that. No, he would never.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand how Frodo can be this fucking naive, dude.
I don't know if it's just his natural trusting nature, from being raised by Bilbo, raised in the Shire. And I would assume because of Bilbo's journeys that, they were kind of a little bit more well off in the Shire. So maybe he kind of has like a rich hobbit kind of fucking thing going for him. But it could also be that Sauron is pumping shit through the ring, or the ring is pumping shit through him to make it to where like it's easier to fucking keep him that's kind of docile.
That's a little bit more believable, is the ring is influencing Frodo's judgment. And the ring wants them to fight, to separate them and break up their bond.
Yeah.
Because Frodo alone is weaker. So the ring knows that, all right, if I can separate them and like cause a wedge in between them, it'll be easier for me to corrupt this little hobbit.
Yeah, it's, again, Smeagol and Deagle. Like, it's just trying to recreate that so that way it can get that fucking, it can break that bond and have it to where the one that's weaker will be corrupted.
Yeah. So
then we have two Smeagol's.
After that scene, obviously Frodo takes Smeagol's side, and then Smeagol like smiles like, "Hey, I got you, motherfucker." And Sam's like, "All right, I'll get you next."
Yeah, don't worry, I'll get you in the fucking cage match.
And we go to a scene with Éowyn. Éowyn is sleeping in the Grand Hall, and Aragorn is like putting the covers over her. And this is a good character development scene for Éowyn. And I've talked about it multiple times. I wish Éowyn got just a tiny little bit more screen time or development. Like, we talked about the deleted scenes in the Two Towers where she's defending the people in the caves, right?
Oh, yeah, and she straight up fucking decapitates that one Uruk-hai. Like, it was badass.
Yeah. That would have added a lot of character development for her, because in that movie, she doesn't have a lot to do.
Yeah, no, she, we get to see her practice a little bit in the horse stables.
Yeah.
But other than that, really, like, they just have it to where she's just gawking at Aragorn the whole time. Like, that's kind of the only point that they gave her.
Yeah. So Éowyn is telling Aragorn that I had a nightmare, like a big tidal wave, like something that I could not change or fight against. A light shone upon me, but I could not move. I could only stand there waiting. And this goes with what she said in the Two Towers, like, "What are you afraid of, my lady? I'm not afraid of death." Well, what are you afraid of then? A cage, to sit upon a precipice where the world ends and I could do nothing.
Yeah.
So Éowyn's greatest fear is being able to do nothing in the face of danger to protect people.
Yep.
Which very much is the role of a woman, right? In fantasy, women they're non-combatants. They're expected to like cook and clean and like stay service the household. They're not expected to fight.
Yeah, exactly. It very much goes with like, even so much as like kind of 1900s, 1920s, America, like women were meant more to be, like that stereotypical housewives while the men went out and did all the work or whatever. So most women aren't going to be able to defend themselves, and especially because Theoden doesn't allow her to practice or do anything. Like, she's concerned that something's going to happen. She's going to be the only one there, and like they're not going to be able to handle themselves. Obviously, she'd be able to because she still dicks around in her own time. But still, like, that concern is still in the back of her mind at all times.
Yeah, she's not afraid of dying. She's afraid of, other people dying when she could have done something to protect them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's her greatest fear. And she has that nightmare again, and Aragorn soothes her and calms her down. But Aragorn comes outside, and Legolas, being an elf, especially a high elf of like a high royal family, he's able to see into the future just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
And he's also able to see over vast distances.
Yeah.
And they have a heightened perception, a heightened awareness of like evil around them.
Yeah, which is how he's able to do parkour on falling bridge parts.
Yeah, we're not talking about that. So Legolas says there's a great evil stirring. The eye of the enemy approaches. And of course, we go back to Pippin. Pippin fucking is trying to look for that goddamn Palantir. And he goes to Gandalf. Gandalf has it in like a little fucking bowling bag.
Yeah.
And Gandalf is like night sleeping. He sleeps with his eyes open like and he does the Indiana Jones like fucking swap. He pulls out the Palantir and puts a jug.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have at least filled the jug with water. Well, I guess it would spill everywhere, but
yeah.
Pippin takes the Palantir, opens it up, and within like 5 to 10 seconds, the Palantir fucking turns red hot, and that's when Sauron takes control of Pippin. And Sauron, we talked about this, he has another Palantir. And he uses the Palantir to torture Pippin and interrogate him for information.
Yeah. You can see the great amount of pain that Pippin goes through. Like, his whole body's fucking shaking.
It's like he's being electrocuted.
Electrocuted or burned.
Yeah. And he can't let go. He's like stuck on it. And this whole time, he's like wreathing in pain and fucking, it's immense torture and immense pain.
Yeah.
And eventually Aragorn and Legolas come in because Legolas like, he's here. He has that heightened awareness. Oh, your camera froze again. Hi, Hunter.
Hi.
We're going to fix that. But yeah, so he's wreathing in pain and everything. And Aragorn and Legolas burst in. Aragorn grabs it, and just for like a split second, he's like, oh, fuck. And then he drops it. And then I can't remember. I think Gandalf is the one that throws the cloth over it, kind of puts it out.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny. Like, it's not legitimately on fire, but he acts as if it's actually burning and fucking like
he
tries to smother the flame.
He puts a fire blanket on it.
Yeah.
So Gandalf goes over to Pippin and starts asking Pippin, what did you see? Gandalf, forgive me. Wake the fuck up. What did you see? And then Pippin tells Gandalf about what he saw, the White City burning. He saw a dead tree, the whole city burning. And that's enough information for Gandalf to be like, oh, fuck, they're going to attack Minas Tirith.
Yeah.
Because Gandalf obviously has been to Minas Tirith many times. And he knows, like, city, tree, oh, fuck, Minas Tirith. The people of Gondor are next.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, that's the most logical choice. They just took Osgiliath, oh, no, they haven't taken Osgiliath yet. Faramir's still holding the defenses at this moment.
Yeah.
But, well, I guess you could consider, like, okay, maybe the enemy would march on the dwarves or the Mirkwood elves. That would be other targets that they could chew.
True, but if you're gonna be like, going from like a man civilization to man civilization, like they're gonna be the weaker ones to be able to take out. Like the dwarves are gonna be a little bit more hardy. Same with the elves.
Yeah.
The elves are gonna be able to defend themselves a little bit better.
Yeah,
especially because like the elves, there's that chance that some of them are gonna be able to have that foresight to see the enemy coming to them.
Yeah.
So he's probably just trying to go after the weakest link and break that tie to make it to where it's easier to fucking spread out.
Yeah. The movies don't really depict it at all, but Sauron actually did march on the other races of Middle-earth. He did invade and attack the dwarves of Erebor, and he did invade and attack like Lothlorien and the elves of Mirkwood. So he wasn't just attacking Minas Tirith. He was sending out armies all across the continent.
Yeah, he was just trying to stir up as much shit as he could, pretty much.
Yeah, so there's a photo on my phone that I saved, but someone did some fan art. The who were the golden armored guys that were marching at the Black Gate when Frodo and Sam, the Easterlings, or they're either the Haradrim or the Easterlings. I always get them mixed up.
It's one of the two. I can't remember which ones we decided they were.
I think they're the Easterlings. So the Easterlings are actually the ones that attacked the dwarves.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and I think Gandalf said, not Gandalf. Sauron sent a bunch of orcs to like invade Mirkwood and shit. King Thranduil and everything. Thranduil that we saw in the Hobbit series.
Yeah,
that king of the Woodland Realm. Yep. That's Legolas's dad. I mean, you've seen the film, so you know. But that whole kingdom gets attacked as well. So Sauron is sending out armies fucking everywhere, left and right. Yeah. But in the movie, you get the impression they're only attacking one
yeah, faction. They're going after one faction only.
Yeah. But anyway, back to the film. Gandalf is like, what did you tell him about Frodo and the ring? And Pippin's like, oh, fuck. But
Dad's mad.
Daddy's mad. But this is going to be a good spot for us to stop. We're 30 minutes into the film, and the next scene kind of catapults us on into like the next act. So to kind of recap, Sauron now knows that his enemy has a Palantir, that they're making moves against him. They're trying to regain the throne of Gondor. He now knows about Aragorn, right?
Yeah.
Because Aragorn did touch the Palantir.
Yeah. So he's going to be able to have that sense. And, obviously he was able to probably get into his mind too, because as soon as he touched it, it was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So he has that knowledge. And I'm sure with fucking Pippin being Pippin, he also revealed that, the ring is getting closer and closer to him. So he's going to have more scouts and shit trying to search out for them.
And Sauron knows that if a king were to reclaim the throne of Gondor, he could unify the human factions that are scattered all throughout Middle Earth and unite them under one banner. And that makes them much more of a threat.
Yeah. Because otherwise it's, it's essentially just like, oh, this village is going to attack on their own. This one's going to attack on their own. So they're not going to have like a unified effort, as opposed to if you have one massive army that's all these different groups combined, they're going to be able to strategize together and be able to be attack and do countermeasures more effectively.
Yeah. Well, this is where we're going to end this episode of Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King Fantasy Friday. Anything that you want to close out, Hunter? Any closing remarks or comments?
I just want to say, like, design choice wise, when they have Sauron's fucking eye pop up on the Palantir, it looks so fucking cool because it becomes his entire fucking eyeball.
It's a cool special effect.
It's really fucking cool and really well done for the time frame that they did it at, because that was back when still CGI and stuff was newer in films, and obviously like by this point they kind of got like their style and shit down, but still it looked really fucking good. Yeah, like that CGI looks better than anything in Thor Ragnarok, or not Ragnarok, Love and Thunder. Yeah, I knew which one you meant. I don't even want to touch it. That fucking little kid that does the ghost face projection. He's like, Thor, you need to help us. He's like a floating little head. It's just so bad. But anyway, my closing remarks is I love this film. This is probably my most watched one out of the three, just because there's so much entertainment value in this one. There's so many conclusions to different plot lines and character arcs. It's just a very satisfying film. So, do you think that there's so many different conclusions in this because it's the final film, which is usually where conclusions happen? I hate you. I knew I was going to make that joke at some point. I just didn't know when. Anyway, my name is Adam Edgar. I am Hunter Chambliss. And we will fucking hate. We will catch you guys on the next one. Fucking bye. Bye.